stop scrolling, because I think the Trinity is just confusing language and really unnecessary to describe God. And I'm going to explain why. First of all, Jesus gave you all the names that you can call him. Son of Man, Messiah, Son of God, Jesus, Yeshua. There's no reason to call him God when he never told you to call him that. Second, some people have made believing in the Trinity a literal heaven and hell issue. Like, you're not a believer if you don't believe in the Trinity. And that's crazy to say that a concept that's used to describe God, that you have to paper mache a bunch of scriptures to put together to make it make sense. You're going to say that this is the thing that people have to believe in order to be considered a believer, even though God never actually says that. I hear a lot of believers actually saying that the title of Son of God is not sufficient for Jesus because of what he did for us, which is kind of crazy, because what you're saying is that him being called the Son of God is not sufficient for him to forgive sin. Him being called the Son of God is not sufficient enough for him to walk on water. Him being called the Son of God is not sufficient enough for him to come back from the dead, even though that's what he called himself. I think we should just accept the title of son. That's what he called himself. And that's how great being a son of a father is, when you share the same DNA as that father. The father can do things through you. And I think also it disconnects us from the relationship between the Father and humanity, because if we say that Jesus could do these things, and not just because he was Jesus, but because the Father loved him and because he was obedient, then that holds all of us accountable. Because if Jesus is fully man, then we're fully man, and everything that God did through Jesus, he could do through us. When you present the Trinity, then you separate Jesus from the rest of us. The only separation should be is that he is our Savior and that he sits right at the right hand of God. Besides that, his earthly ministry, he was a man, showing you how a man is supposed to be in relationship with God. Who he is in heaven is the Son of God, who sits at the right hand of God, who God used to create everything, who God uses as his number one messenger, who God sent as Savior. That's who he is. That's how dope it is to be the Son of God. And that's what Jesus says that he gave you the right to be. In the book of John, it says that he gave those of us who believe in him the right to be sons of God. But if Son of God is not even a title that's befitting of him, then none of us will look forward to being called a son. Can we just stop confusing believers out there and just use the words that was in the Bible? And the other thing is that a lot of people say, oh, when Jesus said before Abraham was, I am, they put the stones to kill him because he was blaspheming. They believed it was blasphemy. But it's crazy, because you're going to take the testimony of the Pharisees, the people who tried to kill him, like, you're going to say that because they believed he was saying God, that it must be true, when they literally could not see exactly who he was. Jesus kept telling them that they were blind. So you're going to believe a blind man's testimony about Jesus? Obviously, if they thought he was God, then they were